Welcome, beautiful beings. Thank you for joining me in class today. For anybody that does not know me, I am Jasmine. And for the ones that are returning, welcome back and thank you for coming. We're going to start with breathing techniques and we're going to sit in seated cross-legged position. All right. And if this isn't comfortable for you, just find the best seated position that is comfortable for you. You can either put your hands by your knees if you would like, or you can do prayer position. All right, so we're going to start with breathing through our nose. And these are the same breathing techniques that I want you to use during your yoga poses. And here we go. Just breathe in and out through your nose. Breathe in and breathe out. And I want you to use this same technique during our class. We're going to breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Also, you can use the technique as well while you're breathing through your nose. It's like once you breathe out of your nose, it's like you're fogging a mirror. So always keep that in mind. So when you breathe in this time, breathe out as if you're fogging a mirror. And these are the same breathing techniques I want you to use during class once again. And I keep saying this over and over because when you get in certain positions and you're breathing out of your mouth, it can cause you to kind of hyperventilate. So as long as you're breathing in and out of your nose, you should be good during class. All right, so we're going to start in Savasana, and that's child's pose. All right. And this pose right here is like a restorative pose. If you get tired, if you need to rest, I want you to always feel free to come back to this pose. So you're going to put your hands out in front of you and then have both of your legs together. Well, your knees come out and then have your legs together and just come forward. And we're just going to stay here for a few breaths, just so you'll know where to come back for your restorative pose. All right, and from here, we're going to move to tabletop position. You're going to bring both of your legs down and both of your hands right under your shoulder. And we're going to go into cat-cow. And all that is bringing your back up. And your gesture is going to be right at your nose. And then we're going to come back up and look at the sky. And you can do as many of these as you like right now. And we're going to go up and down. And you can also incorporate dancing lion. And that's just moving around in motions that feel good to you. All right, and this is going to reduce some stress and tension in your back and your shoulders. It always helps me, so I'm hoping that it helps you as well. And I like to get started in this because it relieves the stress and the tension from the body. And if you're going in one way, I want you to go the opposite way now. And do the same thing you were doing the opposite way. All right, and from here, we're going to move into chaturanga. So we're going to go into plank pose. And then from plank pose, we're going to go down. And we're going upward dog, inhale. And downward dog, exhale. And right here, I want you to stay for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And after that last breath, I want you to walk your feet to the front of your mat and do a halfway lift, inhale, and a forward fold, exhale. I want you to bring your hands all the way to the top and look at your thumbs. And then come down into Samastitihi. And take a breath. And just relax for a second. And from here, we're going into Surya Namaskar A. We're going to bring our heads up over our heads. And then do a forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. And we're jumping back into a plank position. And then we're going to do a chaturanga. Go all the way down. Come up into an upward dog. And inhale. And a downward dog, exhale. And right here, we're going to do another 5 deep breaths. Inhale for 1. Inhale for 2. Inhale for 3. Inhale for 4. And 5. Now we're going to walk our feet to the front of our mat again. And we're going to do a halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. And then we're coming back up to Tadasana. And hands down into Samastitihi. Now we move into Surya Namaskar B. Hands up. And we're going to bend our legs. And then we're going to do a forward fold. Exhale. Halfway lift. Inhale. And jump back into a plank position. And we're going into chaturanga. And upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Exhale. And from here, we're going to bring our right leg to the front of our mat. And we're going to pivot our left leg. And then we're going to bring our hands up over our head. And then we're going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths. And I want you to bring that right leg as far down as you can to get that stretch, a better stretch. All right, and we're here for 5 slow, deep breaths. Make sure you're breathing through your nose still. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to bring our hands down to our mats, and we're going to go back into plank position and chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Exhale. And from here, we're going to bring our left leg to the front, and we're going to pivot our right leg. Again, we're going to bring our hands over our head, and I want you to try to get that left leg down as far as you can. And we're going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to bring our hands back down to our mat. Go back into plank position. Downward to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And from here, I want you to walk your feet to the front of the mat. And we're going to inhale up, exhale, downward facing, and hands back over our head, and straight up into Samastitihi. And from Samastitihi, we're going up into Tadasana, and then we're going to forward fold, exhale, and halfway lift, inhale. And from here, we're going back into plank position, and then chaturanga, and upward facing dog, inhale, downward facing dog, exhale. And we're going to bring our right foot to the front and pivot our left leg, and we're going into Virabhadrasana A. And this may seem like we just did it because it is a part of Surya Namaskar A, but it is a different pose. All right, so this is Virabhadrasana A, and we're going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, and we're going to put our hands to the mat and step back into plank position and go down into chaturanga. And upward facing dog, inhale, downward facing dog, exhale. And we're just going to stay here for a couple breaths just to restore. And from here, we're going to bring our left leg to the front of the mat. And we're going to pivot our right leg and bring our hands back over our heads for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to bring our hands back down to our mat. We're going to go back into plank position, then chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And we're going to walk our hands to the front of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. And we're coming up into Tadasana and Samastitihi. From Samastitihi, we're going to bring our hands back over our heads. And then we're going to do a forward fold, exhale, and halfway lift, inhale. And we're going to step back into a plank position. From plank, we're going into chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. And from here, we're going to bring our right leg back to the front of the mat and leave our left leg at a 90-degree angle. And we're bringing our hands up to the side. And you want to just make sure it's like you're pulling, and bring your right leg down as far as you can. And we're going to stay here in Virabhadrasana B for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to bring our hands to the front of the mat and step back into a plank position. And then we're going back into chaturanga. And upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. And we're going to bring our left foot to the front of the mat this time. And the other one, the right one, should be at a 90-degree angle. And we're bringing our hands back up. And we're going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths once again. And the lower you go with this left leg, the better you'll feel the stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to bring our hands back down, step our foot back into a plank position, and we're going down into chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. And we're going to walk our feet to the front of the mat. Halfway lift. And forward fold. And we're coming up into Tadasana. All right, and we're starting in Samasthiti, and we're going to do a balance pose. And it's called Ardha Baddha Padmasana. All right, so you're going to start with your right leg and bring your right leg up. It's also known as half lotus pose. And we're going to bring that right leg up. And then if you can, you'll take your right hand and you'll grab that right foot. And if you have a strap, you can also use your strap. And if you can grab that leg, you can forward fold. If not, you can just stay right where I am. And we're going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to release that foot. And we're going to come into Samasthiti. And then we're also going to go back and we're going to do the same thing with the left foot or left leg. All right, so bring your left leg up and go ahead and grab it. And if you can, go ahead and take that left arm and that left hand and grab your left foot. If not, you can stay right where I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to release this foot. From here, we're going to go into Samasthiti. Bring our hands over our head. And let's do a back bend. All right. And then we're going to come back down into Samasthiti. And then we are going to bring our hands back up over our heads. And forward fold. Exhale. And halfway lift. Inhale. And step back into a plank position. And we're going into chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. And from here, we're going to jump or walk into a seated position. All right. And from seated position, we are going to go into Navasana. This is going to work your abs. You may feel a little bit. You may start to shake a little bit, but just work through it and you'll get stronger and better. All right, what we're going to do is bring our feet out in front of us. And then we're going to have our hands out. And we're going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to cross our legs, and we're just going to put our hands to the side and bring our body up if we can. And we're going back into Savasana for 5 slow, deep breaths. And if this is hard for you, you can also hold your legs if it's more comfortable. 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to cross our legs and bring our body up with our hands. And the last Navasana. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cross our legs again. Bring your body up. And from here, we're going to take a deep breath just to restore. All right, and once we restore, we're going into Dandrasana. And from here, we're going to bring both of our legs out. I'm seated this way so that you guys can see me better, but you'll be the long way on your mat. All right, from here, put both of your hands to the side. And we're going to bring our head down. This is just a restorative pose as well. And we're going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to lift our heads up, and then we're going to go into we're going to do a flow, a vinyasa flow. All right, step back into plank position, and we're going into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And we're going to walk our feet, or we're going to walk to a seated position, or jump if you can. And from here, we're going into Siddhasana. And this is just a seated pose. And bring our hands to our knees. Or you can bring your hands to your heart into prayer position. And we're just going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths. Two, 3, 4, and 5. And from here, we're going to go into a chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. And we're going to walk our feet back to a seated position. All right. And I know you guys are ready to relax a little bit. We're almost there. All right. So from here, we are going to lay straight back. And we're going to bring our feet up and have your knees facing the sky. And we're going to go into a bridge pose. If you'd like to do a wheel pose, you're more than welcome. All right. And from here, we're going to bring our bottoms up and have both hands by your side. And we're going to stay here for 5 slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And from here, we're going to come back down. And you can move your feet around, move your legs around, side to side. And we're going to do one more bridge pose or wheel pose, whatever your choice is. All right, and we're going to bring our bottoms back up. And we're going to do another 5 breaths. Take your time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to come back down and move our legs from side to side. All right, and from here, we're going to go into Savasana. So you're just bringing both of your legs down and bring your hands by your side with your palms facing up. And just relax. If you need any water, go ahead and grab your water. If you need to towel off, go ahead and towel off, because this pose is meant for you to be still. It's called the dead man's pose and also known as Savasana. And you're just here to restore, relax, meditate, and get what you can from it. So we're just going to stay here for a couple minutes. So just take your time and just be. You can thank yourself for coming today. You can thank your body for moving in ways that you probably didn't know it could. Or you can just clear your whole mind and just be on your mat for now. All right. And if you're ready, you can start wiggling your toes and your fingers. If you're not ready, just stay where you are. And you can bring your hands over your head and stretch as if you're just waking up in the morning. Do the same thing with your feet. And then when you're ready, just go over to your side into fetal position. And we're just going to stay here for a few. All right. From here, we're going to get up into our seated position. All right. And I just want to thank everyone for coming today, for viewing, for watching, for being here. I want you to thank your body for coming in, for moving around. I want you to thank your mind for getting you here, because I know sometimes it's a struggle. And I want to thank all of you for being here. All right, bring your hands to your chest in prayer position, and then your third eye, and namaste.